Keep calm. And carry on buying AI tech stocks as they deviate from the highs. Where the greater the deviation, then the greater the buying opportunity presented. Keep calm and carry on buying. Quantum AI tech stocks. Look what they've done. Inflation 9.4%. You know what that means?
No.
That means money is losing its value at the rate of 10% per year.
So what is getting better?
What?
What's the value? What's the better?
Everything is falling. The value of money is falling at 10% per annum.
So what's the best value then?
Is to buy a house.
But we got a house.
Yeah, we got one.
So the
10% per annum. I've been warning inflation's coming for over 2 years to get ready for it. And it's arrived and they don't have a clue.
BBC News Online.
They don't have a clue what's coming.
We are in Derby's Museum of Making this evening, which is on
Derby, yeah. We've been there.
the site of the world's first fully mechanised factory, and it's now a World Heritage Site. Manufacturing has remained a key part of this city's economy, and like cities and towns across the UK, businesses and individuals here are feeling the painful effects of a rise in living costs not seen for a generation. Figures today show that inflation rose to 9.4% last month.
You bloody idiot. You don't have a clue what's coming.
Driven by a leap in the price of
This is
fuel,
going to be last
basic foods,
for the whole of this decade.
Our economics editor,
For the next 8 years, we're going to have high inflation. And it doesn't matter if the inflation falls.
But what if
It won't have any effect.
But what if in 4 years it's the end of the
This is
world?
what that means.
Yeah,
Families
well, if the world ends,
and across the UK.
then it doesn't matter.
At this community food pantry, they're finding
It doesn't matter if the world ends then.
surplus supermarkets.
What they fail to realize is this, that it won't matter even if the inflation rate halves. There is going to be a massive amount of pain.
How?
That's the problem. The economists, all of them are clueless. The academics, they don't get it. Why the 1970s was so bad. It wasn't the peaks. It was what happened in the run up to the peaks and in the aftermath of the peaks.
Yes, but Daddy, why in the olden days payments were more value than gold?
What?
How come?
What's a hail up?
You know, nuts.
Nuts. Hazelnuts.
Kind of thing. I don't know.
Are you on about tulips?
No, you know, back in the day.
Back in the
Some
day.
time ago,
Like you're an old
ancient
person,
times,
yeah.
ancient times. Why did they say that nuts were more valuable?
Because supply and demand. The supply was small and the demand was high.
How could they find gold?
Not gold, because the gold was more plentiful than nuts. Look at that. 9.4%. They don't get it. So tell you what they don't get. They're focusing on that graph. I'm going to show you why they don't get it. Compose it. See, that graph gives you an illusion, an inflation illusion. Yes, 1970s, did it go up to 25%? Oh, blooming high. But even this graph masks the true impact of inflation and why it's going to be so painful. And even if the UK inflation rate halves to say 4.5%, it will not. People will still feel the inflation pain no matter what.
But what if this goes all to death?
Well, then we're dead. Then we want to make sure we don't own anything in the UK.
What?
We don't want to own anything in sterling.
Why?
Well, if it goes up there, 25%, we don't want to own any sterling
Why?
assets, liquid assets. We can't do anything about the house, but like stocks, you don't own.
But what if it goes up What does that mean?
Well, your wish comes true.
What's that?
End of the world. End of the financial world.
What's that mean?
It's not going to go that high, but the problem with this graph is this. That is the annual percentage rate of inflation, which masks the true impact of the inflation megatrend.
What?
So I'm going to make a graph here that shows you the UK 10-year inflation rate. It gives you the real picture of how bad the 1970s were and how bad it's going to get over the next 10 years, because it doesn't matter if the inflation rate, say, falls from there to there and goes back up. It doesn't matter. If it falls,
It went down here.
yeah, that's zero. But there's another thing. This inflation measure is fake because they changed the way they measure it. So today's 9.4 is equal to about 16 there in the past. So 9.4 is about 16 or 18%, nearly double, because they've changed the way they measure it. Now, the graph I'm showing you now shows you that this inflation, yeah, of why it's going to be so painful. The 10-year graph, you see a huge spike up, yeah, a huge spike during the 1970s. That is the 10-year inflation rate over 10 years, not annual, which is why we are at the beginning of huge inflation pain that people need to prepare for. As I've been saying since March 2020, when rampant central bank money printing resumed, when the central banks doubled their balance sheet and bored Liza to death.
What?
Am I boring you? That's when they started to double their balance sheet. And today's pause is temporary, because once QE starts, it can never stop.
Okay, you finished now.
Yeah, I've given you my lecture on inflation. But folks, this is bad. It's going to get worse. It doesn't matter. Even if the CPI halves to 4%, 5%, it won't make any difference, as the 10-year inflation graph illustrates. 9.4% falling to there won't make any difference. You know, that is, look, yes, it was a massive spike, 25, but this masks the true impact of inflation over the 10-year rate. 10 years shows inflation soaring massively, and that's where the pain came from. And the same was in the United States, even though they had smaller peaks. I think the CPI peaked at 12% and 14%, so they had shorter peaks in inflation. They didn't have this crazy British peak, 25%, but the 10-year inflation rate was massive, and that's what generated the pain. And as you can see, current US CPI is just 9%. So, you know, that's what's going to come. Why the 1970s was so painful for the US, and even more painful for the UK. Why 3 million Brits fled Britain. They fled Britain abroad, mostly to Australia, Canada, and the US. They just abandoned ships. And that's what drove house prices lower, because exodus of 3 million people, at least 3 million. I know a lot of my school friends, you know, in the 70s, they went to Australia, United States, Canada. Even the bullies, you know, school bullies, that even popped up in the United States, a preacher now, yeah, for his sins. Anyway, quick video warning illustrating what to expect from the inflation megatrend. Don't be fooled by any falls. For inflation to be under control, it has to be under 2%. You know, even 3% is not going to do it, because remember, it's compound rate. 3% is on the index. Again, on the index, it has to be brought under control to under 2%, which I don't think they're going to do. So we're in for massive amount of inflation pain over the remainder of this decade. That concludes in a detailed 3-year trend forecast for UK house prices that was first made available to patrons who support my work. So for immediate first access to all of my analysis and trend forecasts, then do consider becoming a patron by supporting my work for just $4 per month. And my UK housing market analysis will soon be followed by my even more extensive analysis of the US housing market that also concludes in a detailed 3-year trend forecast, which is at a time of maximum price uncertainty. Even the Fed does not know from one meeting to the next what they're doing. Barely days before the Fed hike rates by 0.75%, the chairman Jerome Powell was saying that 0.75% hike was off the table, which illustrates the degree of uncertainty out there. And also access to my most recent ongoing analysis geared towards capitalizing on this stock's bear market that I warned to expect last December. Capitalize on by accumulating AI tech stocks at deep deviations from the highs at target buying levels, which again first being made available to patrons who support my work. So do consider becoming a patron. I support my work for just $4 per month, gaining access to over 35 years experience, right from before the 1987 crash straight through to this stock's bear market that will ride the quantum AI megatrend into the future.